Welcome to another edition of Consumer Alert TV. I'm consumer advocate Rich Newsom, and I'm joined here today by Clem, who is a nursing home advocate who has represented victims of nursing home abuse here in Orlando, Florida for the last 15 years or so today. And Xander, you were nice enough to come here to the show today and to talk to us about how a consumer who has a loved one or a family member looking at starting with a new nursing home, how one would go about picking a good nursing home that's going to be safe and friendly with a good environment. What suggestions can you share with our viewers?
Rich, thank you for having me here today. The placing a loved one, especially a mother or father or grandmother or grandfather, in a nursing home is one of the most difficult decisions that any of us will ever face. One of the things I recommend to those that come to me and ask me questions about where should I place my mother or father in a nursing home is as follows. First, Rich, I always tell folks to go to, there's a website called Medicare.gov, Medicare.gov. This is a website provided by Medicare, and there's a link on it called Nursing Home Compare. You can go on there and go into Orange County, Florida, for instance, and you can look at all the nursing homes in Orange County, Florida. You can A, find out their location, B, find out how many deficiencies that the state regulatory authority has found against this facility, especially with regard to quality care indicators with regard to their residents. You can find out how many beds are in the facility. You can find out how much staffing they have so that you know that when you put your mom in a nursing home, there's going to be enough certified nursing assistants and registered nurses there at the facility to take care of your mom or dad. That's number one. Number two, I also tell folks to go to another place at the Agency for Healthcare Administration website, and there's a link there called the Nursing Home Watch List. And those are the places that have been cited with repeated deficiencies, and I would tell people to probably stay away from those facilities. That's a bad deal. Now, once you have done that culling process, and you figured out, okay, I know I've got 2 or 3 nursing homes in my vicinity within 10 minutes driving distance from my house to go see my mom or dad, then you got to go visit the facility. And I always use the old concept of when you walk into the facility, do the following 3 things. Look, listen, and smell. Look around the facility to see if residents are left alone for 10 minutes or longer in a wheelchair. That's a bad sign. Listen for moans and groans. Listen for call bells going off repeatedly when residents aren't being attended to by the staff. If staff aren't coming running down the hall to attend to Miss Jones, in all likelihood, they're not going to attend to your mom either. Smell. This is obvious, but when you walk into a facility and if it smells bad and if it smells like bodily excrement, that's also a very bad sign. So those are some things you do in terms of figuring out kind of where to place your mom and dad. And the other thing, Rich, is, again, I mentioned it a second ago, someplace close to home so that you can go in there unannounced any day of the night or week. That's very, very important.
Another question, and I know that I have had a family member in a nursing home. Once a loved one is in a nursing home, are there certain things that as a family member or a loved one that you can do to make sure that that person, that resident, gets good care, gets good attention, and what suggestions based on your experience would you have for our viewers?
Rich, the primary suggestion is you just follow the old adage, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I mean, it's just that fundamental, and it works in nursing homes. From day one, when I walked into a nursing home, if my mom were going into a facility, I would find out how often do they have resident council meetings. I'd want to know when they are, because those are the meetings where residents get an opportunity to talk and converse with those that run the facility about problems they're having. I want to know when those are because I'd want to be in attendance at those meetings. Second, I'd want to know when we're going to have care plan meetings on my family member. You have initial care plan meetings to identify all the problems that may arise with regard to your loved one. You need the family member needs to be in attendance at that meeting, and that's the meeting, Rich, where the administrator of the facility, the director of nursing, and all the leadership team of the facility are there to meet on your mom or dad or grandmother or grandfather. You've got to be at those meetings. So, and then other than that, Rich, once you get there, just make sure that in addition to going to those meetings, that you walk in unattended any time of the day or night when they're not expecting you. And if you see a problem, to make sure you get on top of it promptly, you talk to the director of nursing, talk to the administrator, and make sure these problems that you see get resolved quickly.
That's great advice. Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. Xander, is there any other, before we close the show, is there any other advice or resources that you could refer some of our viewers to for other information or other places they could go, for example, if they did see a problem with one of their loved ones in a nursing home?
Yeah, Rich, finally, I'd say that if after you're at the facility and you have a loved one that's having a problem, whether it's bed sores or multiple falls, which can lead to a broken hip and death, or other kind of injuries, or not getting fed enough or timely, at that point in time, if you've done everything you can with regard to meeting with the leadership team, the administrator, director of nursing, and others at the nursing home, well, then you've got other agency-related or administrative-related type avenues you can go down. Number one, if you suspect neglect or abuse of your loved one, you call 1-800-ABUSE. 1-800-ABUSE.
And what is that? What is that the number
that's
for?
That's the Department of Children and Families, the Florida Department of Children and Families number, which once they get the call that, hey, I think my mother has been abused in the following way. She's got bed sores and she's lost 40 pounds. They then have a duty to go out and investigate the allegations of abuse or neglect. The other thing you can do is call the long-term care ombudsman, the elder care ombudsman number. It's in the blue pages of your local phone book in Florida.
This is another state?
This is another state entity that's independent of the state. They're also required to go out into the facility and investigate your allegations of abuse and neglect. Those are two avenues that I'd recommend in the event you see a problem. So,
great. Well, thank you. That's excellent advice, and I know some of that was new information I've not heard before. So thank you, Xander, very, very much for being here. You've been listening to another edition of Consumer Alert TV. We really thank you for joining our show. And if you find that this show has been helpful for you, or if you know someone who has a family member that's going to go to a nursing home, be sure to share a link by email to this website, www.consumeralerttv. Thanks so much for watching.